Hi, so today I want to talk about the most difficult day I've had with my OCD, and that is the day that I told my partner that I loved him. Relationship OCD has been the most predominant theme I've dealt with my entire time I've gone through OCD, so it has mainly affected how I perceive myself to be able to love someone else. I've been in quite a few relationships, but every time that relationship gets to a place where feelings become a bit more involved, my brain basically questions whether I actually love this person. It makes me completely doubt whether I should actually be with this person, to the point that I end up breaking up with them. This earned me a bit of a reputation in university. I was constantly dating and breaking up with people without any reason, to be honest. So I got a bit of a reputation as a bit of a heartbreaker. The way OCD would manifest in these relationships would be through these obsessions where I'd be worrying that I didn't actually love my partner. I'd have this constant feeling in my head that anything I was feeling towards them wasn't real, and that I was actually wasting my time, and that this wasn't going to be the person I was with. I'd have this real focus on, is this someone I'm going to be with in the future? And it would drive me to a point that I was just debilitated by the thoughts. My compulsions would also be romantic gestures, so buying my partners flowers or chocolates, or constantly telling them nice things about them to try and prove to myself that I would do all of this because I loved them. But it was never quite enough for my partner, and it would always end up with me just being very miserable and having to end the relationship. OCD has affected pretty much every single one of my relationships from the moment I started dating, and over time really started to have an impact on my self-esteem that I wasn't actually going to ever be able to get into a relationship where I didn't ruin it myself. It wasn't until a relationship towards the end of university where I finally met someone who I really clicked with and got on with so well, and I started to get real feelings for, and OCD wasn't really affecting me until they told me that they loved me, and I said I loved them back. The moment I told him I loved him, I felt this sinking feeling in my body, a feeling I was quite familiar with because this is what happened in previous relationships. And suddenly I was imploding with all of these thoughts that, what if I didn't actually like my partner? What if I didn't actually love him? How could I be sure I loved him? It was completely debilitating and led to a full day of me just crying my eyes out. I remember it being so hard because I'd finally found someone that I really clicked with and I wanted to be with, and once again my brain was ruining everything for me, and it just was this point of real frustration, and just I became very depressed and just unable to really cope with the fact that maybe I wouldn't actually be able to date. I went to OCD therapy the next day and started with exposure and response prevention therapy, which is where I learned some tools in helping me understand these thoughts I was going through. I had to do exposures like writing breakout texts to my partner or writing negative things down on a piece of paper, which was really hard and debilitating, but in the end was actually really worth it. A few years later, I deal much better with my OCD, and whilst I'm not in that specific relationship anymore, I've taken the tools that I learned from ERP on with me to new future relationships and into my current one, where I'm able to tell my partner I love them without any real issues or anxiety. This is a big part thanks to ERP and giving me the tools I needed to be able to understand these thoughts are just thoughts at the end of the day and don't actually represent anything about me. When I look back on my younger self and all the relationships I'd gone through and how much it was really hurting me and my self-esteem, it's really cool to be in a place now where I am able to just be in the moment and just not think too much about the future and just be really present with my partner and just make sure that I'm giving them all the love they deserve and accepting the love that I also deserve. A big part of my OCD journey and recovery has been an increase in my self-esteem and actually seeing that I deserve these things that forever OCD has told me that I don't deserve. It doesn't matter where you are on your OCD journey, whether you've just been diagnosed with it or you've been dealing with it for a few years or 10 years and are now wanting to get into therapy, there is always help. If you go to NOCD.com, you can start your journey with effective treatment to help you with your OCD. I still deal with OCD and intrusive thoughts around my relationship daily, but the relationship I have with those intrusive thoughts is much different now. I have the tools in place to help me understand these thoughts and just sit with them and not let them fluster and become really loud in my head. It's a really cool place to be and something I'm very proud of, considering that a younger me would never imagine that I could get to a place where I am now. In my current relationship, I'm also able to enjoy romantic gestures again, something that's always been taken away from me, so I can actually give my partner presents and give them flowers and do all this romantic stuff that I really enjoy, but was forever tainted by OCD, but now feels like something that I'm in control of. Thank you so much for watching. It feels really cool to be able to make a video about OCD and what I've gone through from a perspective where I'm not necessarily going through it in the way I was when I was younger. So I'm forever grateful for that. Thank you for watching.